the seals last time, and we hit the first couple. The horses, the colors of the horses are significant, and it relates to the area at the time. When a battle was over and somebody had won, the conquering general, or the conquering king, if he was president, or his general, if he wasn't, would ride into town to receive the surrender of the town on a white horse. If he was coming to conquer, or if he was about to participate in the battle, he would ride in on a gray or black horse. Okay. If he was the ruler of the town and he didn't want to engage in the battle, he would ride to the conquering army, the army that had surrounded the city, on a donkey. And that said, I want peace. Okay? So the colors here are significant. We don't quite understand them that way today because we don't ride horses, we ride around on tanks. But back then, the color of the horse that you were riding as you were approaching the conquering army telegraphed your intent, and said a lot to the other army or to the army who had been defeated. So, as we go into this, those colors are very significant. A couple of them refer to certain men that will rise up at this point in human history. And they're men that Jesus said we need to look for in Matthew chapter 24. Because he gave us all the hints, all the signs to look for. And he said that if we look for those signs, it's like looking for fruit on the fig tree. When we see the blooms break out and the bees start to work, we know it's spring and there's about to be figs. So it's the same way with the consequences that are going to happen in the final days. They're all written down here for us to see. And if you're a student of the Bible, you can watch the news at night and say, chapter 19, chapter 6. Yeah, we read that in Matthew. And it's all happening right before our eyes. People who know these things and keep track of them say that 96 to 98% of all prophecies have been fulfilled at this point in human history. So, let's reread 1 and 2.
I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as the conqueror bent on conquest.
Okay. Voice like thunder. What do you think John's trying to say to us about that? What would be a voice like thunder? Be a commanding voice, a voice to get your attention. I mean, when you hear thunder, when the thunder cracks, did it get your attention? Yeah, but right there, you know, it kind of sends a chill down you. So somebody gets up and in a commanding voice, "Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye," and everybody stops and looks. If he gets up and says, "Hey, would y'all," everybody goes on about their business. A couple months ago, about 3 months ago, Rob was trying to get everybody's attention so he could pray before a meal, and nobody was paying any attention in the fellowship hall at all. There was a circus going on. And so finally he looks at me and shrugged his shoulders, and I stood up and so I said, "Hey!" And Rob prayed and we But you remember it, don't you?
I was standing right beside him when he went, "Hey."
He was probably leading the circus.
No, it was my wife. Anyway, when it says a voice like thunder, it's a commanding voice, a voice that got everybody's attention. Okay, white horse. What did I just tell you 5 minutes? White horse. When did they ride white horses?
When they went into the town, when the king or general went into the town after it was conquered.
Yeah. This guy's riding a white horse because he is out to conquer. And in his mind, he's already conquered. If he had any doubts about the conquering, he'd be riding a gray horse or a black horse. He's riding a white horse and he's arrogantly thinking, I won this is mine. All right? He had a bow. Now the next guy has a sword. What's the difference?
One's a long-range weapon, one's a close weapon.
Yeah, a sword is man-to-man combat. You are in the middle of the battle. Have you ever watched those movies, like The Patriot? No, not The Patriot.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Braveheart.
The Irish guy.
Braveheart.
Yeah, Braveheart. You know, the archers
Watched it once.
stay back behind the lines, and they drop arrows, rain arrows down on them. But as soon as hand-to-hand, as soon as their army gets in range of the other army, then the archer's job is done. Otherwise, they'll be raining arrows on their own army. So, it's long range, it's non-personal. This guy is not going to be part of the battle, but he's going to be involved with it. He's probably going to ordain it. Probably going to send the generals out to do the war. Okay? He was given a crown. What's significant about a crown?
He's in charge. He's in charge.
He's in charge. He's been given the authority to lead. He's like the king, has a crown. The fact that he had a crown means that he's going to be some leader, probably the leader of some country. He will be a man who will rise up to power. And if you go into Ezekiel and look at the description of him, he will be a man of peace. He'll be a very charismatic person. He'll be able to win people over just by his appearance and his presentation. He will be a very, very likable person. And he will be a great politician.
Well, it's none of them now.
If you could use the word great politician, he will be very good at what he does. All right? Any other questions about that?
When you say great, you don't necessarily mean good person.
Excellent at what he does.
Okay.
He'll be excellent at what he does. He'll be a great politician. Okay. Any other questions on it? Okay, 3 and 4.
When the Lamb opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come." Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make man slay each other. To him was given a large sword.
Okay. Sword means personal, hand-to-hand combat. He will be involved in the battle. He'll probably be a general, somebody who was sent out to do this. Red horse. You ever seen a red horse?
Yeah, well,
Sorrel.
I was going to say, yeah.
Sorrel.
Sorrel.
They're reddish.
Okay.
The word red is not significant concerning horses for this time. But you remember last week we were talking about Russia and how the bear would come down from the north and the mascot is a bear. They're calling this great conqueror Gog and Magog, and we'll come into that in a couple more chapters, and we'll go into that in depth when we get there. But Gog was the city, the capital city of Magog, and the old city of Gog sat on the exact same place that Moscow sits today. And not only is Russia a bear for a mascot, like we have an eagle, they're referred to as a red country, aren't they? You know, most communist countries are considered to be red country and have red in their flags. So this just kind of fits perfectly with what Russia's doing today. They flew by our destroyer in international waters this week, came within 30 feet of the tower of our destroyer. And there's been 2 incidences since then. And they are escalating and they are intimidating us, and they want the world to feel like we are weak. So they're set up a huge military base and airport in northern Syria, which is north of Israel. So the bear has come down from the north. That's what they wanted to do in Afghanistan. They wanted Afghanistan so that they could come straight from Russia through Afghanistan, and they lost that one. Now they're coming in with the second move they're making is to take over northern Syria. And pretty much Syria has bought into it, and they have a military presence there bigger than any other country they're in right now, except for Russia itself, the motherland. All right, notice in both instances, the creature said, come. What's significant about that?
The horse and rider don't, like it takes opening the seal and then the creature is the one that, announces the horse or rider or whatever.
Okay, exactly right. Who is in charge of this?
Land.
The throne room of heaven is in charge of this. The creatures are saying, come now. You know? Now, prior to this, if you go into Daniel and you look, Daniel was told, hey, this is not relevant until a certain period in history. It's not going to involve you. So don't worry about it and get on with your business. Okay? That's my interpretation. It's not the exact wording found in Daniel, but basically that's what Daniel was told by the angel. Said, this does not pertain to you. It's not going to involve your life at all. It's for another time. Don't worry about it. Now, the time is right, whenever this is, the time is right, and these guys are commanded to come and take their place. Okay? So this entire scenario is under the authority and under the control of our God and Father. So what do we have to fear? Nothing. Did you know, I read this week in Fox's Book of Martyrs. You know, they, back when they were persecuting Christians in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd century, they would tie them up in the Colosseums and let the lions loose, and bulls, and bears, and all kind of things, so that they could be trampled and gored and torn to pieces by the animals. Did you know that the animals wouldn't touch the Christians? All those lions, you know, our history books say they persecuted Christians, they put them in the Colosseums, and the lions wouldn't touch them. So the emperor got mad on 3 different occasions and sent his personal guards down to kill the Christians with the sword. And when the guards went out into the Colosseum, the lions attacked them. And he lost his personal guard on every instance. And so finally he had them shot with arrows on a couple of occasions. Isn't that neat? And why weren't we told that? Now, these were writings not by Christian historians. These were writings by Roman historians and Greek historians. These weren't some Christian writer trying to make up a story to make Christianity look good. These were written by the Roman historians at the time. And you can go look it up in the books. The animals wouldn't touch the Christians. They starved some of the lions for a whole week and turned them loose in there, and they wouldn't touch the Christians. So what do we have to fear? Okay, the third horse, 5 and 6.
And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
Okay. Black horse. And notice there it says, come. When it was time for the black horse to come, the throne of God said, come. And the door was opened and he came out. Okay. Pair of scales in his hand, and I heard what sounded like a voice among the 4 living creatures saying, a quart of wheat for a day's wages, 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages. But do not touch the oil and the wine. Okay. A quart of wheat for a day's wages. What's that trying to tell us?
Famine. Famine? There's gonna be famine?
Yeah. Have you ever been in an area, well, you've never been in an area where there was a war, but everything's pretty much destroyed. The wheat fields are burned up. When I was in Vietnam, the rice fields were, the levees the artillery would break the levees, the water would run out, the rice crops would fail. It's just a consequence of war. And some wars, they go in and scourge the land. During the Civil War, as they were moving south, they burnt everything. They cut down all the peach trees. They burnt the wheat fields to try and weaken the person that they were trying to conquer. A quart of wheat is about what it would take to keep you alive for a day. So what it's saying here is you're going to have to spend, at this point in time, the people involved in this area are going to have to spend literally every single thing they have just to get enough to eat and stay alive. They're not going to have any money for anything else. Okay? Why the wheat and the barley? 1 quart of wheat, 3 quarts of barley. What's going on there? Want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Barley is only 1/3 as nutritious as wheat. Okay, so if you opt to buy the barley, you're going to have to eat 3 times as much of it to get the same nutrition. But it'll be cheaper. You can get 3 quarts. So you can fill yourself up, but you're not going to get the nutritional value, and it's going to weaken you, and you're going to struggle to defend yourself and struggle to even survive. So wherever this battle is about to take place, and we'll cover that later on in the book, wherever this battle is about to take place, it's going to really be devastated. It's going to be destroyed. You have any questions on that?
What did you say the black horse represented?
It's going to represent famine and distress. What about that last part? Do not damage the oil and the wine. See how this is all being controlled?
Those are more valuable, aren't they? Those would be like valuable, wouldn't they?
It'd be valuable. They also have deep root systems, and they're also annual crops. So this first battle is going to be it's going to do damage, but it's only going to destroy the grass crops. With the wheat, the barley, the rye, the hay for the animals. The Army is going to, and we'll see that when we look at the Army that comes down from the north. He makes a great charge down along the edge of the Mediterranean Sea. He overruns Israel. He goes into a king of the south, which is probably Egypt, and he takes over the whole area. And then something causes him to retreat and come back up in Israel, and the guy who is in charge of all this, he's called the Beast. There will be a Trinity in this, just like God's Trinity. God's Trinity is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The devil's Trinity will be the beast, the Antichrist, and the harlot of Babylon. That will be his Trinity. Big difference in the three. Okay. The oil and the wine have deep root systems, and they're annual crops, and they bear year after year after year. The wheat and the barley, they have to be planted every spring and harvested late in the summer in this area. Okay, so it's going to be a quick charge. It's going to, he's not going to have time to, but also God is protecting the area from a total devastation. The fig trees and the vines, the grapevines, are going to be protected so that there will still be something left. Okay. 7 and 8.
When the Lamb opened the fourth seal, I heard a voice of the fourth living creature say, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over the fourth of the earth to kill by the sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth.
Okay. Pale horse probably refers to a gray horse, and when the conqueror came out to riding a gray horse, he was going to attack you, and he was going to try and kill you. So, and his name, if you look at that, his name was Death. Now, what about the sequence of all this? Is this unique? Think about it a minute. Great ruler rises up. He sends out his general to conquer. Let's think of Hitler. Let's think of Hitler for a minute. Hitler got elected one time, and then he took over the country. Okay, so all this happened in the space of 4, 5, 6 years. So the great ruler, and then he sends out his generals to conquer the country, and great damage is done as the armies move across the land, and things get destroyed, buildings get blown up. And what is the consequences? The consequence is death, not only to the military, but to the people who are collateral damage. I don't like that term. It's kind of like, they got in the way. They got in the way, they got run over. They were attacked. But we say, well, it was collateral damage. They just happened to be in the area. No, you happened to be in the area with your tank. That's what caused it to happen. But, we kind of minimize all this stuff, but the consequence is always the same in war. A guy rises up, he sends out his generals to conquer because he wants to have a bigger country or more control and more power. The general goes out and destroys the land as he goes across it. And the result is famine, starvation, death, and casualties in the military operations. It's been the same. This isn't anything unique in human history. It has happened over and over and over again. When Genghis Khan came, when Alexander the Great came, when the Caesars came, when the Roman legions came, when Hitler came, when the North came down to South Korea, when the North came down to Vietnam. The whole thing is not unique. It is just the normal consequence of war and conflict. So everybody looks at that and says, oh no. And that's not a bad response. We shouldn't be fighting wars. We shouldn't be attacking people. But the truth of the matter is, this isn't any different than it's been for 6,000 years of human history. It's just the normal sequence of things. And if we don't get upstairs, the normal sequence of things, we're going to get replicated. So we'll start there next week.
So